Hello and welcome. This is SprintX Recap. Before we start, if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, go ahead and subscribe. And if you enjoy the video, don't forget to hit the like button. It really supports me. Today's film begins with Kenny, a soldier in the U.S. Army. His commander, Sugar, comes to him and tells him to get ready because they're about to deploy. At first, Kenny thinks it's not serious, but then he realizes they're actually heading out on a real mission. The team boards a plane and we learn their objective: to rescue an undercover agent captured by Russian intelligence. The agent had been gathering information on Alexander, a major arms dealer. They arrive near the target area and prepare to parachute in. Kenny is clearly nervous because it's his first jump. He's still new to the Air Force. His team encourages him, assuring him the mission will be simple. One by one, they jump. Kenny hesitates, overwhelmed with fear, and almost fails to open his parachute. But at the last second, he regains control and lands safely on the island. Meanwhile, Weaver, the mission coordinator, guides the team remotely, giving them directions and coordinates. The squad moves through a dense jungle facing rough terrain. Kenny struggles with fear and inexperience, while the others are hardened veterans shaped by difficult past missions. As they move forward, they detect unusual movement nearby. Suddenly, their communication system is jammed, cutting them off from support. They are now on their own and must rely on old-school tactics. The team splits up to scout the area. After confirming no immediate threats, they reach a large house, the target location. It's heavily guarded. They form a plan, positioning snipers and carefully observing the surroundings. Inside, they spot Alexander, confirming their target is there. At the same time, a local resistance group arrives, led by Abu Sayyaf. He is there to strike a deal with Alexander for weapons to fight against occupying forces. However, the situation escalates quickly. Abu Sayyaf betrays Alexander, killing his men and even executing his family in front of him. The team watches in shock. When Abu Sayyaf threatens to kill a child, they can't stay silent. A sniper shot is fired to stop him, and chaos erupts. A missile strike follows, throwing everything into disorder. In the confusion, the team engages in a fierce battle. Explosions and gunfire break out everywhere. One by one, Kenny's teammates are killed. Despite their efforts, they are overwhelmed by enemy forces. Eventually, Kenny is left alone, the sole survivor. Shaken and traumatized, he contacts Weaver, who directs him to an extraction point 500 meters away. Kenny struggles to move due to fear and shock, but Weaver keeps talking to him, encouraging him to stay focused. Kenny begins moving through the jungle, hiding from enemy patrols. At one point, a guard dog nearly discovers him, but he narrowly escapes detection. As night falls, visibility drops. Weaver continues guiding him, keeping him calm by talking about personal things, even asking about his past. Kenny reveals he recently lost his father, which pushed him to join the army. Finally, a rescue helicopter arrives. Kenny runs toward it, but enemy forces ambush him. The helicopter tries to provide cover fire, but is forced to retreat after being targeted with an RPG. Once again, Kenny is left alone, surrounded by enemies. Weaver quickly coordinates an airstrike to eliminate nearby threats, giving Kenny a chance to escape. But more enemies arrive, equipped with night vision, tracking his movements. Another pilot contacts Kenny, asking for enemy coordinates to support him, but the situation remains extremely dangerous as Kenny fights to survive against overwhelming odds. Kenny gives their exact location, and 2 missiles are launched, burning everything around the enemies. He thinks it's finally over. But suddenly, more fighters appear everywhere, like ants, opening fire on him. Kenny keeps shooting back, trying to survive until support arrives. In the middle of all this chaos, one of Weaver's team members tries to lighten the mood over comms, joking with him about quitting the job and playing PlayStation instead. But it's clear Kenny is still in serious danger. The pilot confirms he's ready to provide support fire. Kenny is dangerously close to the enemy, but the pilot fires anyway, forcing Kenny to run for his life through the crossfire. Somehow, he manages to escape and survives the attack, eliminating the immediate threat. Weaver warns him that the area is still too dangerous and tells him to move toward another extraction point. Kenny has no choice but to push forward through the harsh jungle. On the way, he falls from a high spot into a small river. Weaver informs him that 3 armed enemies are nearby. Kenny reaches for his weapon, but realizes it's gone. With no rifle, he pulls out his pistol and prepares for a fight. When the enemies appear, a shootout begins. He manages to take one of them down, but runs out of ammo and is forced to flee while the other 2 chase him. He reaches a waterfall with no way out, so he jumps. Hiding beneath the water, he watches as they search for him above. He then swims against the current to escape, completely exhausted and now unarmed in the middle of the jungle. But suddenly, one of the enemies captures him, telling him, "You're not alone." Kenny is taken prisoner. Weaver loses his signal and realizes something went wrong. He's furious and assumes the mission has failed, but he insists on continuing and gets permission to search for Kenny. Meanwhile, Kenny is being tortured. Suddenly, a masked man appears, silently takes out the guards and rescues him. It turns out to be Sugar. He's still alive. The RPG blast didn't kill him, and he managed to escape, but Bishop has been captured, and now they need to save him. The two gather weapons and head back into the jungle. Now begins a mission even more dangerous than the first. Since communication is lost, Kenny improvises and builds a simple signal device using water bottles, and it actually works. He reconnects with Weaver and tells him they're heading back to Alexander's house. Weaver objects, saying the mission is already a failure, but Kenny insists. They're not going back for the original agent, they're going back to rescue Bishop. He asks for missile support for the assault. Kenny and Sugar reach the house and plan their attack, marking 3 strike points and their timing. Unfortunately, communication cuts again, so they must complete the mission before the missiles hit. At the same time, Weaver's shift ends and he's ordered to leave. He refuses at first, but is threatened with punishment and forced to step away, even though he doesn't trust the person replacing him. Back at the house, Kenny and Sugar begin their assault. Sugar enters first, silently taking down a guard. Inside, they encounter enemies, some distracted watching a match. Sugar uses a knife for stealth kills, while Kenny engages in close combat, eventually grabbing a weapon and taking down his opponent. Their cover is blown, and a heavy firefight begins. More enemies rush in from all sides. Sugar gets shot, and Kenny fights desperately to protect him. Together, they manage to survive wave after wave, but they're eventually overwhelmed, injured, and captured. They wake up in a cell. Sugar blames himself for coming back and getting them all caught. Meanwhile, the Air Force has already received the strike plan. 3 missiles are on the way to destroy the entire area. Kenny tries to warn the guards that everyone will die if they stay, but no one believes him. Sugar realizes this might be the end and focuses on getting Bishop out alive. They are taken out one by one. Abu Sayyaf executes Sugar in front of Kenny. Then it's Kenny's turn. He's prepared for torture, but he keeps insisting that missiles are coming and everyone will die. Abu Sayyaf doesn't believe him and continues torturing him, trying to find out if anyone else is outside. Kenny insists they're alone. At the same time, the first missile hits, destroying part of the cave and killing the guards. Kenny survives because he was underwater at the moment of impact. He quickly escapes and goes to rescue Bishop. On the way, he hears someone in a cell. It's Jisoo, the original target of the mission, still alive. Kenny frees him and continues moving. Then he encounters Abu Sayyaf. Fueled by anger and everything he's lost, Kenny fights him and ultimately kills him. He frees Bishop, and now they have only minutes before the second missile hits. Kenny searches for a signal to call off the strike. He finally manages to reconnect and contacts Mission Control, but they're distracted watching a match and don't take him seriously. Weaver, now off duty, misses Kenny's call at first. But when he listens to the voicemail, he realizes the situation and rushes back. Meanwhile, Kenny is trying to escape with Bishop and Jisoo as the aircraft approaches to strike again. At the last second, Weaver arrives and successfully cancels the airstrike, saving them just in time. A helicopter is sent to extract them, and they are finally rescued. In the end, the mission succeeds. They return with Jisoo, but Kenny is left devastated, mourning the loss of his teammates, especially Abel and Sugar. Still, he did what he had to do. He survived and completed the mission.